Welcome back to We Sound Like Nerds, official podcast of SuperCon. There was a convention in Sioux Falls this weekend, which is comics and nerdy stuff. And I didn't get a chance to go because I've been working.
We had no emissary for the only con in Sioux Falls.
We tried to get a table, but we never actually told anyone at SuperCon that we wanted one.
We had a panel, it just nobody was watching, and we were all by ourselves.
Yeah, in our own houses.
Yeah, we weren't even together.
Separate. So we're going to talk about Christopher Nolan today. His the second trailer for Dunkirk came out, and I know we've been doing a lot of trailer talk lately, so I was like, hey, let's look at the movies that some of these people actually did before, their upcoming ones. But before we get into that, we have just some housekeeping to get out of the way.
There's a Deadpool cartoon in the mix for FXX.
Really?
Donald Glover, and there was another Glover, and I didn't know if they were related because I didn't look into it at all, are co-producers for it, so...
Oh, okay. Donald
Glover, he's the new Lando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Look,
His show Atlanta, is that on FX or FXX?
I want to say it's FXX, because I don't see trailers for it on FX.
Okay. Because I haven't had a chance to watch that, but I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's good to see. I don't know if he started in stand-up.
I thought he did.
Or not, but yeah, I've never gotten the chance to watch Atlanta, but I've always wanted to. So. It was my dad's 60th birthday last weekend, so we had like 50, 60 people here. It was insane. And my uncle Jason was down, and I don't know how it came up, but we got to talking about this one time. It was like the summer after Phantom Menace came out, and my buddy Brent and I were up visiting like people on my side of the family for like a week. We were up there for like a week, just going to different cousins. I have a lot of family up in the Minneapolis area. And so he was bringing us back to Sioux Falls because he lived here in Sioux Falls at the time. And Brent and I got into an argument in the back of his truck about the identity of Darth Sidious and if he was Senator Palpatine.
Yeah. Palpatine.
This is not hyperbole. We argued for almost 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he is. No, he isn't. Yes, he is. I was on the side of it is Emperor Palpatine. He was, no, it's a different guy. Not Emperor. It's not Senator Palpatine. Like,
Palpatine was just a red herring, like, the whole time you think it's him, but it'll be somebody else.
Right. Because Darth Sidious isn't his name.
Exactly.
In,
like, the Darths
4, 5, 6.
Names. Yep.
So, almost 20 years on, that was 99, that Phantom Menace came out.
Yes, I believe it was.
So we're at 18 years. 18 years later, I was right, Brent. I don't think we've ever resolved this argument. I don't remember resolving it with you after, we found out Sidious was Palpatine, but I was right. So, anyways, I was right all these years later, and I've never gotten a chance to say, ha!
The record is set in stone now, or digital.
Yeah. So there. I saw a Japanese film that made its way through like the bigger markets because we never get anything interesting here. It's called, I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to try the Japanese title. Kimi no Na wa. It translates to Your Name. It's the 4th highest grossing movie in Japan, and it just came out last year.
Dang.
It just got a Blu-ray release date either June 23rd or July 23rd.
Wow. Here
in the States. And it's really, really good. I wouldn't say I'm like an avid fan of anime. I know we talk about Cowboy Bebop a lot.
We have a firm appreciation for it.
A firm appreciation. A firm appreciation for anime and what you can do with that art form. But the animation in this, I mean, it's really refreshing to see hand-drawn stuff like this when most of the stuff that comes out of the States is CGI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when that little trailer that we were watching of it, I was wondering myself, I was like, I wonder if they still hand draw all of that.
Yeah, it's all cell
And,
drawing or whatever they call it.
It's definitely got to be a labor of love, because that is just an extremely time-consuming process.
Hirozaki still. He's working on his... He came out of retirement to do another movie.
Oh, yeah?
And he's still doing frame by frame hand drawing.
And that kind of seems to be the way of, like, especially with Japanese culture, they're, like, very set on tradition.
Oh, yeah. Master one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, and then, I mean, attempt to master them all, but, like, always go to improving it, like, not just going to the easier way of doing things.
Yes.
So, heck yeah. Thumbs up for that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Anyways, Your Name is about... It's kind of like a Freaky Friday situation. A teenage boy who lives in Tokyo and a teenage girl who lives out in the countryside. She's not really happy with life, and she's like, I want to be a handsome Tokyo boy in my next life after I'm reincarnated. And so there's a meteor or a comet that flies overhead, and you can see it in Japan, and they both look up at it at the same time, something, and they end up switching bodies. But it's not a standard Freaky Friday. They're in each other's bodies all the time until it gets, fixed or whatever. It's only a couple days a week. So they'll just they'll wake up as the other person.
Oh, man.
And so they have to figure out, obviously, how do I be a girl, a teenage girl, with all these friends and social responsibilities. And, he has a job in Tokyo, and so she has to learn how to wait tables, and it has, funny humor, and it's steering you the way of a traditional love story, and, oh, yeah, they're going to meet up or whatever. But 2/3 of the way through this film, it gets super heavy, and there's a twist, and you're like, oh my gosh, and I was nearly in tears watching it, so I highly recommend it. If you are one of those people that like the English dub, you can wait until June or July. I can't remember the exact date. Or, you can try to find it in less legal ways and watch just the subtitled one, which is the version I watched. But, yeah, really good. Probably the best animated movie I saw last year, even though I saw it this year, from last year. And there was good stuff that came out. Moana came out.
I still haven't seen that.
Kubo, I think. Kubo was really good.
And the Two Strings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. That one was stop motion, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was that.
That was another one of those time-consuming processes.
Yes. Very much so. Well, since we're short on time, let's jump to the main part of the episode.
The meat and potatoes.
So let's talk Christopher Nolan, because Dunkirk, second trailer, came out. Looks good.
I think so. I didn't really...
It does, I mean, it looks good.
Yes.
Will it be good?
Yes, that's, I mean... So, as I understand it, Dunkirk is like one of those things, like, if a Southerner says, like, Alamo, like, Dunkirk is like the English version of, like, that.
Right.
So, like, it's one of those things it's supposed to imbue the patriotism of Britain.
Right.
So... Whether this movie will live up to that, who knows? Like, but it's,
something. Sorry,
I wasn't sure where I was going. I kind of trailed off there.
I looked up the history of it after the first teaser came out, because I was like, I've never heard of this Battle of Dunkirk or whatever, and it's a battle that some men were, I guess, spoilers maybe for the movie, if they go this route, but these British men get trapped on an island or a beachhead, and the Germans have advanced into this town, and they've kind of pushed them against the water.
Okay.
And so the men can't escape, and the German general, after weeks or whatever of holding them in Dunkirk, they retreat. They just they don't advance, because Hitler wanted to use those resources somewhere else, I guess. And some historians think that wouldn't have mattered, or it was one of the first missteps in World War II that led to Germany's defeat. So with Christopher Nolan, he's never done a period piece that's been based on something true, though.
Oh, this is true. Yeah.
All of his stuff has some type of
fiction to it.
Fiction or science fiction. So some people were thinking, what do you think he's going to make the reason is that the guys pull out? Because historians don't know why they actually pulled out.
So it's a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
Oh.
So is there going to be some alien show up and like never mind?
Well, I mean, apparently the Nazis were big into the occult.
They were, but from the trailers, I mean, I don't see them going that way.
Yeah, I can't imagine so either. I mean, it looks like it's supposed to be much more gritty realism.
Yeah.
Like a Saving Private Ryan.
Yep. It's funny how that movie is rather late in the game for war movies. War movies have been around for so long, but that's kind of the movie everybody goes back to.
Saving Private Ryan?
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be Saving Private Ryan. It's going to be...
It really changed the way we look at war movies,
It did.
I think. Because then shortly after that, we had Band of Brothers, and that was just like...
Yep.
I mean, it took basically Saving Private Ryan and just made it 10 hours long.
Yes.
But before that, war movies were like... like Kelly's Heroes or like A Bridge Too Far. Like, they were much more tame, it looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, it still tried to embrace the grittiness of war.
A documentary style of filming instead of wide shots.
Oh, like it almost looked like you were always on
You were
the shoulder
there.
of the dude
Yes.
running with the camera sort of thing. Yeah.
And we hadn't seen that before from Hollywood. We'd seen it from historical footage,
Yes.
but not actually
That's actually a very good point. Yes.
Hollywood style. And so ever since then, people have tried to do that with war movies.
Yep.
You have Thin Red Line that came out after that. We Were Soldiers, Black Hawk Down. They've all used that POV style of filming point of view in war movies.
It wasn't a war movie, but it was my favorite that did that was Children of Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Just the way they film it.
I'm one of the
It's
few
really
people. I'm just that movie's just okay to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I really like it only in the sense that it's just the grittiness of it, like the story, hasn't been a child born for 18 years. It's a cool concept.
Cool concept.
Yeah.
Very cool. I can't remember who did that.
I don't recall.
Sorry, person. You had a good movie. That's forgettable.
At least you were forgettable. The movie lives on.
So let's talk about the best Christopher Nolan movies.
Ooh.
Why don't we? Jordan's not here, but he sent his list in. I'm only doing top 3. Sorry, Jordan. He sent me the top 4. But the top 3 for Jordan, spots 1 and 2 are a tie for spot 1. And he has Dark Knight and Inception. And then third is Dark Knight Rises. So those are his 3 favorites. Kyle, what are your 3 favorite Chris Nolan films?
At number 3, I'm going to go with The Prestige.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one. Had a good mix of fun fantasy with scientific sort of fact to it.
Wolverine and Batman. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I also thoroughly enjoyed... It's tough for me to rate the Batman's ones, but I did like The Dark Knight Rises. I think that was the one. That was the last one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. That was my favorite. I don't know why. It was just... the other ones, they had a lot of good moments, but I think overall... Might have been just because that was the one I think I've seen most recently.
Okay.
And then my favorite is Interstellar. I don't know. That movie is just...
Blows your mind.
I like the science movies, you know, like... basically, the only thing this movie was missing was, like, narration by Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was it. Like, aside from that, I'm like, there we go. So, there was my top 3.
Those are your top 3. All right, so... I'm gonna go kind of along your list. Number 3, I have Inception. It's Christopher Nolan to a T. It's beautifully shot. His stuff that isn't Batman, the storyline is always very interesting. He always gets knocked by critics for why does Ellen Page's character exist? All she does is tell people what's happening in the movie. And it's like, yeah, but would you understand the concepts that they're trying to talk about without her character?
So I forget, was she supposed to be like the type of Neo, like somebody that was like could control the world more than anyone else?
Kind of, but she was basically just there to say what the audience was supposed to be thinking. Like, so you're stealing stuff from dreams? And then Leonardo DiCaprio would be like, yes. And she's like, so you have to make a maze? And then he would be like, yes. So
holding the audience's hand?
Right.
Gotcha.
Because you're dealing with something no one's...
Some pretty heavy conception, you know,
right.
Or at least the concepts.
Yeah, for your movie-going public that are only going to see this movie because of how well Dark Knight did. Because it came out after Dark Knight, after he made all of the money in the world. You know, he can make whatever he wants, so he makes this rather cerebral action thriller.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't care if there's a little hand-holding for your average mouth breather, so just calm down, people. So second is going to be, I don't know, my first and second are also a tie, and it's Interstellar and The Prestige. Both of them, wholly original. But I think Prestige actually edges it out because I've seen it so many times, and I can go back and watch that movie
and still enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time I watch it. The first line is like, are you watching? Because you might miss it. And it's...
I want to say, didn't he say something about dying at the beginning?
It's Christian Bale's line.
I could be mistaken it with something else, though.
It's got David Bowie in it, doing a cameo.
Yeah.
He plays Nikola Tesla. Nikolai Tesla?
Nikola
Tesla?
Nikola, yeah.
It's got Andy Serkis in it, who's his little butler.
That's right. The guy setting up all the little light bulbs.
It's on Netflix right now for our U.S. Listeners. So, if you haven't seen The Prestige, go see it. It's got a bunch of great actors. It's about battling magicians back in the early 1900s. And their feud that they get into. It's got Wolverine and it's got Batman. What could go wrong there? And then Interstellar is really great, but it's one of those movies of Christopher Nolan's that gets a little long at places, and you kind of want to shorten it up.
A little bit, yep.
The reason The Dark Knight is not on my list is because that is a movie that has one of the best performances of all time that I've ever seen, which is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Ah, yes. Yep.
But that movie really suffers from a long-windedness middle chapter of the three films. I didn't really care for Dark Knight Rises because it didn't have where after the Joker's captured, you still have like 38 to 45 minutes of movie, where they could have ended it there, but they didn't. They just kept dragging it out. And it wasn't as influential to me, I guess.
Okay.
Tom Hardy was great as Bane.
I like Tom Hardy.
The kind of squeaky, raspy voice that he did instead of what you were expecting was very, very interesting. And it's got Littlefinger in it from Game of Thrones. He plays the CIA agent on the plane. He's like, "You're a big man."
Oh, right before the plane blows up?
Yeah, and they did that with practical effects. That's another thing that Chris Nolan does. A bunch of practical
set
effects.
Pieces and stuff?
Yeah, so that plane was that high up.
Not in the sky.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, they did it. They shot it in Iceland or Greenland, I think. Yeah.
Holy shit.
They had skydivers, and yeah.
Damn.
We should watch a clip of the special features.
Behind the scene. Holy shoot.
Yeah.
So what is your number one, then?
I think it's The Prestige. It edges out Interstellar just by a little bit.
I wasn't sure if you were tying number two and then having a number one.
No,
Gotcha.
No.
Cool.
They tie
a very close second.
Yeah, first and second.
Cool.
So, Christopher Nolan's one of my top 5 directors, I think, of all time. His movies are so good. He gets most credit from Dark Knight, obviously.
Probably the most popular in terms of like broadest audience.
Right. Yeah. Which is weird because it's a comic book movie.
Well, and that's the thing with like comic books have become extremely mainstream, or at least the movies have, anyways.
So it's interesting because that movie came out the same year Iron Man did.
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
It's that old?
It's that old, but Iron Man, like, that movie, it's that old, but Iron Man doesn't feel that old.
It really doesn't. No.
So, let's see here. Was 2005. So Dark Knight came out the same year Batman Begins to... Or, Dark Knight. Dark Knight came out the same year Iron Man did.
Nice. And yeah, as much as I did like The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight was just, I mean, Heath Ledger in that one. That's like the best villain ever.
But you said Dark Knight Rises was...
Just, I think I liked the story in that one a little bit more.
Okay.
It was like the whole city was pretty much the opposite of martial law, I guess.
Yeah. That was definitely a movie about the 99%.
Yes, and I think that's what I indulged. Like when they went and raided like the stock market area of that one. Like, I was just like, you know what? I know they're doing the wrong thing, but man, I don't mind watching it.
And I know they're doing the wrong thing, but I'm pretty sure there's checks and balances against this sort of action.
Yeah.
You can't just go in.
This is what happens when checks and balances fail.
Yeah, all of them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Inception and Interstellar have some themes in that I think parents understand better than non-parents.
Especially with Interstellar, I think.
Especially with Interstellar and Inception as well. Cobb has kids
That's right.
he can't see.
Exactly. They don't really ever show them, do
right.
they? Like, or his wife. No, because his wife's the bad one. Like the image you keep seeing.
Yeah, so spoilers for the little bit of discussion that we'll have about Interstellar and Inception. But, yeah, for some reason, he can't see his kids. His, Michael Caine has him? Or her mom has him.
Her mom?
Yeah.
I forget.
They live with one of the parents, the grandparents. They don't live with the mom or Cobb. Because the mom killed herself.
Because she's like a ghost in the
in his
Matrix
mind.
Sort of thing.
Yep. Ghost in the machine.
Ghost in the Machine. I didn't want to straight up use it.
No, it's alright. And that came out, I want to say it came out in 2010, Inception.
Sounds about right.
And that had been a year after we had Elijah, our son that passed away.
Mm.
And so anything with child endangerment or not being able to see your child or always wanting to be able to see your child, man, hits me right in all the feels. And so his journey trying to get back to them chokes you up. And then Interstellar, the Matthew McConaughey watching Messages from Home, all of the messages that...
Oh, at the end there when he's...
Well, after they get off the water planet, and they were only supposed to be there for 2 hours.
Oh, it ended up being like
4.
Was it 4 years or something?
Well...
I thought it ended up being years.
I can't remember what the math was. But every hour that they were on the surface was like 5 or 10 years back on Earth.
Oh, yeah.
But they end up flooding their engine, so they stay there for like 4 hours. Oh. So when they get up, it's been like 25 years, and the guy on the ship
is
old.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, we have hundreds of messages for you. And so you watch his kids grow up. And, oh, man. Yeah, as a parent, you want to see your kid grow up and be healthy, and it's just like right in the gut again. And so I guess those themes of his films, the family themes, I've always really been drawn to. But what about you?
Well, I mean, in terms of directors, I don't really pay attention to a lot of them. My favorites are the Coen brothers, just because they've got so many things where I didn't really know it was the Coen brothers, and I liked it, so I realized after a while that they make the type of movies I pretty much like. So, but yeah, there's always usually something about a Christopher Nolan movie where you're like, this has something different to it.
Yeah, this is deeper than your average.
I can't spot it like I can like a Joss Whedon movie. Like,
right.
When I watch a Joss Whedon movie, I'm like, this kind of has a Joss Whedon feel to it. Like, I haven't quite captured that with Nolan. but definitely good stuff.
It's weird that I would say probably my junior year of high school, I started noticing things about film.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got to college, I was pretty much obsessed with film and stuff. And a couple of my friends on the floor at Minnesota State, they were film majors, so we'd go out and we'd help film stuff for them or whatever.
Nice.
But it gets to a point where you're not enjoying movies because you're looking at things instead of what you should be absorbing.
Experiencing the entirety of it.
Yes.
You're like looking for the specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, why did they go with this angle for this scene? And instead of, the angle I would have chosen, all of that jazz. So it's interesting. People just got home. It's 9:01. We're out of time.
Oh, and that's a wrap.
Well, it was a short and sweet episode for you guys today. We're going to do Nerd Out, but we're going to suggest some things. I suggest finding a way to find your name, either online or at your local movie theater, and enjoy yourself. And bring a significant other or whatever. It's a very cute film that has some heavy topics. It's one of those themes where, like, cheesy romance songs, like, if we're apart, look up at the moon at night, and I'll look up at the moon. You think that's where it's going, but it's not. That's not where it's going. Really interesting stuff.
At first, I forgot that the title was translated as Your Name, and I was like, I thought you wanted them to go out and find their name somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know how hard that is?
Find your name somewhere that you didn't put it.
This is extremely generic, like John Smith. Like, you'll find a John Smith everywhere.
What about you for Nerd Out?
Let's see here. Like, I'll just go with Doctor Who.
Doctor Who? Watch Doctor Who?
Watch the new seasons of Doctor Who. It's Last of Capaldi, and it's... I'm enjoying them.
Are we gonna get a woman doctor?
So the way they ended the last season, it kind of, they had one of his companions, Clara. So she's basically immortal at the moment. Spoiler alert. And she and this other immortal girl who has actually lived for millions of years, they basically take off in another TARDIS. So they've got their own time machine, and they took off, and we really haven't heard from them. So they could get a spin-off, and basically the Doctor was grooming this Clara girl to be as much like him as he has any other companion.
Oh, okay.
So, it could get a spin-off, I would imagine. 2
TARDISes.
Yes.
So there's Twartises.
That's Twartis.
Twartis. There's a Twartis.
The Twartises. Yes. What would it be? Tardi? For
Tardi.
Tardises? Tardises? Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it for us on this short and sweet episode of We Sound Like Nerds. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/We Sound Like Nerds, on Twitter using the Twitter handle @WSLN Podcast. Also, always make sure to use your hashtag We Sound Like Nerds. Did we talk about the follow that we got? The Chocolate Rain guy from YouTube.
Oh, no, we did not.
Yeah.
Yes.
He followed us on YouTube.
We have a bit of a celebrity.
Tay Zonday. And then, ironically, he was on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver last week.
Yes.
So
yes,
that's
I saw that.
Yeah. He follows us on Twitter.
Instantly, my brother looked over at me and he's like, hey, man, isn't that guy following you? I was just like, yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
That's right.
This is so crazy. And then our boy. And then our boy Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was on Hot Ones. It's a YouTube channel where they they interview celebrities while they eat increasingly hotter wings. It's pretty great. I recommend, check out Hot Ones from First We Feast on YouTube.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They've interviewed some interesting people, but yeah, they interviewed Neil deGrasse Tyson last week. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
It's pretty funny. Bunch of different celebrities. All right. For We Sound Like Nerds, I'm Jordan.
This is Kyle.
And I'm John. See you next week or 2 weeks. Nerd out. See you later. We love you.